And to see the reception I received from the people of Zimbabwe, it was overwhelming.
The reggae singer and Jamaican national icon, Cocoa Tea, is dead. It's hard to imagine Jamaica without his voice. For decades, he was the soul of the island, filling the dance halls in Kingston and performing on the most prominent stages in the world. Cocoa Tea never lost the magic that made him special until tragedy struck. His death shocked many, leaving behind a fortune worth millions of dollars and a legacy etched on the hearts of many. But what could have led to his death? Now, with the singer's wife, Malvia Scott, confirming his death, what becomes of her and her children? Join us as we dive into the details surrounding the death of the reggae icon, his wife of over 20 years, and the arrangement for his burial. Success story. This year, Cocoa Tea reportedly amassed a net worth of about $5 million from his music and sales performance. This holds a level of truth, as the renowned reggae singer had sold millions of albums worldwide. However, he doesn't flaunt his wealth. He opted for a moderate lifestyle, with a simple home in Jamaica. Rumor has it that he had built a house in Zimbabwe. Though rich, the most significant thing Cocoa Tea focused on was helping younger artists. He wanted to spend his remaining years in the business to help new talent and keep reggae's future strong. You can compare Cocoa Tea's successful career with his personal life. While other musicians' lives were filled with scandals, Coco remained married to one wife. He traveled around the world but remained faithful to his wife. This may shock you. Coco had 8 children. He had a pretty large family. Unfortunately, in 2019, Cocoa Tea was diagnosed with lymphoma. Little did the world know this was going to be one of the greatest battles of his life. Could this be the cause of his death? We'll find out shortly. But then, let's dig a little deep into the icon's success and legacy. The reggae icon legacy. By the 1980s, Cocoa Tea was no longer just a rising star. He was a force in reggae music. His voice went past the streets of Kingston and started touring the world. His songs and voice resonated with audiences all across the US, Canada, the Caribbean, and even Japan. How did a small singer from Rocky Point become an international sensation? In 1987, one of the key moments of his career was when he performed at Reggae Sunsplash, Jamaica's major reggae festival. This wasn't just a performance. It was his first on his most significant stage in reggae. Would the crowd embrace him? Would he be able to hold up under the pressure? Yes, he did. Cocoa Tea delivered the most electrifying performance. This same performance led to him holding many other performances on the Reggae Sunsplash stage because he played yearly. However, he wasn't just a legend because of Sunsplash. 3 of his most memorable performances around the world were unforgettable. When he was able to perform at Sunsplash in 1987, he showed himself and the world he was made to be on that stage. Another performance was when he performed a solid 2-hour show in Canada, with the audience vibing hard to every note. The next show he pulled off was a landmark performance in St. Croix, with him singing into the pouring rain in front of 10,000 people. Even as the skies drizzled on the crowd, not a single person left. That was just how much influence Cocoa Tea had on his fans. What made Cocoa Tea's performances so special? It wasn't just about how he sang or a hook the audience could vibe with. It was the way he delivered his songs. Audiences felt his words, whether he was singing about love, struggle, or social justice. His songs conveyed messages that were beyond just performing at the dance hall. While he tried to release hit after hit, one of his most essential songs, Young Lover and Children of the Ghetto, under King Jammy's label, became a fan favorite. Cocoa Tea's song, Rikers Island, was inspired by John Holt's 1997 song. He reworked the lyrics and made it to warn young Jamaicans about crime and prison by mentioning New York's infamous Rikers Island prison. The song struck a nerve, especially among Jamaican immigrants abroad. It became the biggest socially conscious hit of his career to date. Later, in 1991, he recorded a version with Nardo Ranks, Me No Like Rikers Island, which was included on the 1990 Columbia Records compilation Dancehall Reggae Español. As the 90s progressed, he continued working with some of reggae's most prominent producers. He also recorded Bust Outta Hell with Junjo Laws and Tune In with King Jammy, and collaborated with Philip Fatis Burrell on Good Life and She Loves Me Now. Among the song collaborations during that period were other ones produced by Bobby Digital Dixon, such as Moving On, Heathen, and No Threat. All of them became Bobby Digital's notable songs. International labels like VP Records, Greensleeves, Raz Records, and so on released many of these hits. He was not only a singer, he was a legend now. He had toured the world on virtually every reggae sunsplash and put out hit songs with a depth of meaning. Rikers Island wasn't the only song Coco used to speak up for the people. During the Gulf War, temporary global tensions prompted him to release two bold protest songs, Oil Ting and No Blood for Oil. The lyrics to these songs condemned greed, political corruption, and war. However, not everyone was prepared to listen to his message. The song managed to get some people off, so it was later banned from radio stations in Jamaica and the UK. However, he refused to be silenced. The second song, No Blood for Oil, was included on the album Another One for the Road, featuring Cutty Ranks instead of Shabba Ranks from the previous project. While he did tackle some very serious social issues, Coco T still produced timeless music that felt good. His next major hit, the Lovers' rock tune Good Life, produced by Philip Fatis Burrell, confirmed that his smooth and romantic side was equally powerful as his protest songs. Coco T kept a string of successful hits during the 90s, like his collaboration with Bobby Digital Dixon. Coco T wasn't just singing classic reggae, he was redefining it. His studio hit collaboration with Cutty Ranks on the 1997 Bob Marley cover of Waiting in Vain had the song getting a fresh dancehall twist. His work during much of the 90s was collected in the album Holy Mount Zion, which was a bit weightier of an album because it dropped under the legendary Motown label in 1997. Again, Coco T wasn't just making hits, but building a movement. At 1997, he started his record label, Roaring Lion Records, to bring Jamaica's best. His leadership in the reggae world was seen as artists like Buju Banton, Louis Culture, Capleton, Cutty Ranks, and Sizzla were able to gain recognition under his guidance. In 1988, he released another album, One Way, then Feel the Power in 2001. By the early 2000s, Coco T had become much more than a reggae singer. He was, in fact, a cultural icon. His influence on the music business was not just about hit records, but about building a platform for reggae and dancehall to thrive. He launched Dancehall Jam Jam in 2003, an annual New Year's event that quickly became a fixture in Jamaican music. It ran for 6 years, and during that time, it was a huge success. But what made Dancehall Jam Jam special? For Coco T, it was giving back to the culture that had given him everything. The event wasn't only a place of performance, but a place to celebrate reggae, a gathering place for artists, and a way to keep the music alive for children. In 2008, Coco once again contributed to a political movement with his voice. It was the year of Obama's election, and Coco T composed a song, Barack Obama, which ultimately endorsed the former president. In 2009, however, Dancehall Jam Jam unexpectedly came to an end. By 2014, he released another album, Sunset in Negril. This album wasn't just another collection of songs, it was a mix of romance and the other parts of Coco's artistry. It featured songs like Darling, North Wind, and a cover of Bob Marley's War. Coco T is another light. Coco T reflected on his love for deep-sea fishing as he sat back in his interview. No matter how much his career had grown, he had never given up on fishing. He lived in South Florida and always took a boat down to Miami Beach, paying a small fee to board with other extremely impatient fishermen. All of it, the line, the bait, the waiting, was part of the experience. Life and fishing alike needed patience, he reflected. When you're out there fishing, you have to know when a fish will bite on your line. There's a lot of people who go out there and never catch a fish. The fish takes away all of the bait. So the first thing you have to know is you have to be able to feel when the fish is nibbling at the line. Because some fish, the bigger fish, will come and grab the line, but a smaller fish will just nibble. So you have to identify when they're doing that. Cocoa T's journey in the industry had not been easy. His voice and music spread worldwide, but none of them had been by chance. Rikers Island had become one of the most significant songs of his career. He admitted in 2011 that no performance of his would be complete without it. The song was more a message than a hit. It was a warning to young Jamaicans moving to New York. Through his lyrics, he had warned them not to mess around. Get a job, stay away from crime, because there was only one place for those who got caught in the wrong life, Rikers Island. How come he knew so much about this? Well, what he had witnessed firsthand inspired much of the song. When Cocoa T first came to the U.S., gangs such as the Shower Posse and Spangler Posse were scaring the streets between the Bronx and Brooklyn. That was when Cocoa T found out he was surrounded by people caught in that dangerous world. Many were just good people who had made bad choices. He had just seen too many of them end up behind bars, and he only wanted to make a difference for the generation coming along. He would never forget performing Rikers Island at the legendary Apollo Theater. If an artist is from Jamaica and you have never performed in the Apollo Theater, you haven't made it. You haven't made it, he said with certainty. That night, he performed alongside Shabba Ranks, Home T, and other great artists. Do you recall the song he had penned for Barack Obama? For weeks, it had been a song of admiration and hope. Years later, however, Cocoa T felt otherwise. In 2014, he admitted in an interview that politicians always disappoint people. He confessed he would never do that song all over again if he could live his life over. The fact that Obama had disappointed him cut so profoundly from a failure to pardon Marcus Garvey, which could have rectified a historical wrong. Even now, Cocoa T believes that justice has to be served, even if it means a person like Donald Trump stepping in to do it. The interview took an interesting turn when Cocoa T mentioned Roger Stone, a man typically seen as controversial. When it came to presidential pardons, Stone once said that he would only advocate for Marcus Garvey. Cocoa T was stunned. "My head grew like this," he gestured while laughing, "and I said, this man, Roger Stone, is a good person." Music had taken him all over the world, but Africa was the only place he had ever visited once. Despite his song Africa Here I Come, he had yet to perform in Zimbabwe. Many of his fans from Kenya, Gambia, and Nigeria constantly messaged him, asking why he had never toured their country. But logistics and finances answered the question. "I don't want to go without my band," he said, "but what they offer me, it's not feasible." Yet, even his one show in Zimbabwe had impressed Robert Mugabe's wife. No other performance had been as impressive and unforgettable as Japan Splash, 1991. He had shared the stage with legends like Shabba Ranks, Buju Banton, Barris Hammond, and Beanie Man. He performed in front of more than 100,000 people. He was confident Jamaica would never see a reggae festival of that size. "It's still the highlight of my career," he admitted. It helped him think of a more significant concern: reggae music in Jamaica itself. Freddie McGregor had already talked about reggae thriving, and Cocoa T was more focused on where it was headed in Jamaica again. He firmly believed the first thing the government needed to do was educate the younger generation. How can kids grow up in Jamaica and not know about Burning Spear or Bunny Wailer? He asked. For him, reggae history should be taught in schools, and people should not only mention Bob Marley. There's only a museum for Bob. What about Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, Millie Small? He continued, frustrated that reggae's pioneers were fading from public memory. But not all hope was lost. He had a big part in changing the face of reggae, most of all when he helped introduce coffee to the world. In 2018, she had a platform with him at Rebel Salute, and in Spain at Rototom Sunsplash the following year. He recalled the first time he had heard her sing, in a Florida studio. Once she opened her mouth, "I knew," he said, "nothing can stop this little girl." They say he looked forward to helping her succeed, and the rest is history. On stage, Coco T declared her the next sensation from Jamaica, the biggest sensation that will turn Jamaica around. However, not everything went smoothly in his career. The album, This Music Is Our Business, was recently released by VP Records, and it caught him off guard. Coco T had not been consulted, including 15 unreleased singles from producer Bobby Digital's work with him. "I was upset," he admitted, "but not just for the release. I got a new album coming out with Walshy Fire, and I didn't want this getting in the way." This new album, which he described as the best one he had ever done, was chock full of collaborations. It featured Louis Culture, Protoje, Michael Rose, and Randy Valentine. Some serious tracks included Medical Marijuana, Madhouse, and Sail Away. "This album is going to be big," he concluded. Coco T did enjoy a successful career. However, the hit on his health eventually claimed his life. Farewell, Coco T. Every step of Coco's journey has been about making an impact, from Dancehall Jam Jam to his song, Barack Obama. Coco T wasn't just any man. He had the strength of an army. From his days as a horse rider to his days as an artist, Coco's never-give-up attitude to situations kept him going. This was the same energy he employed when he fell ill in 2019. Life, however, had its plans. He was informed that year that he had lymphoma. As time went by and his battle with the illness stretched further, he never allowed it to demean him. He kept doing what he always did as Coco T, making music and being the sweet, sweet Coco T fans had been familiar with for years. Unfortunately, the fight for his life was only getting more arduous behind the scenes. Within the last 6 months, a new challenge weakened him even more. Coco T had been diagnosed with pneumonia, and it made his breathing a little more challenging with every breath. On what seemed like an ordinary morning, his wife, Malvia Scott, received a phone call. Coco T had been transferred from his care facility to the hospital. His body was struggling more than ever as he kept on throwing up. And then, just like that, the world lost a legend at 4:46 a.m. His wife Malvia, later on, revealed that the past 6 months were the most difficult. But he had fought lymphoma since 2019. Coco T was still hopeful, even in his final days, because just weeks before he passed, he assured his wife that everything was going to be all right. Fans, friends, and other artists from all over the world paid tribute to the reggae icon. Jamaica's Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport, Olivia Grange, reflected on his legacy and impact on the industry, describing him as one of the greatest reggae singers who has ever lived. She was comforted that he was so celebrated in life, and his music will continue to inspire generations. From all corners of the music industry and everywhere in between, tributes poured for Coco T upon his passing due to the global impact the reggae star had. In London, artists, political figures, and fans shared their memories, gratitude, and sorrow at the loss of a reggae legend. Coco T was just everything for Warrior King. He was an icon, a mentor, a friend, and a guiding force towards his career. He remembered their first meeting, a somewhat casual exchange that developed into a few years of friendship and work. "I hear you're faster than the horses, and you can sing," Warrior King recalled. "What can I say? He was a wonderful human being, always jovial and encouraging." Warrior King stated, "He was one of the first producers to record me on his Roaring Lion label, which brought forth the hit song Baby Girl." Finally, he concluded his tribute with a fond farewell. "Fly high in a Zion, my beloved brother. There is a place for good people like you. Rastafari lives forever." Another giant in reggae, Beres Hammond, kept his words short but full of emotion. "Rest well, my brother. My condolences go out to the Scott family. We are hurting with you. This is truly a sad day." Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness commended Coco T for his work in the image of music and culture. He said, "His smooth vocals and compelling lyrics gave us timeless classics like Rocking Dolly, and I Lost My Sonia, songs that have become anthems in our cultural landscape. Beyond his musical genius, Cocoa Tea was a beacon of kindness and generosity, consistently uplifting the less fortunate and embodying the warmth of our nation. As we mourn his passing, let us celebrate the rich legacy he leaves behind, a legacy of melody, compassion, and cultural pride. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Other reggae artists joined in the chorus of grief and gratitude. Maka B paid tribute to Cocoa Tea by invoking one of his lyrics as he sang in his iconic song, Holy Mount Zion, I Am Coming Home to You. Guidance on your journey. RIP. The great reggae legend Cocoa Tea has passed over to the ancestral realms. Condolences to the family and friends. Deeply inspired by the singer, Ja Lil called him his general and noted how Cocoa Tea's music permanently imprinted his life. At the same time, Groundation also paid tribute to the warmth and positivity Cocoa Tea always radiated. Keep smiling, great one. Thank you for sharing your energy and spirit with the world. May Jah welcome you home after a life well lived. Love and strength to your family and friends. We celebrate you. As for his burial preparations, Cocoa Tea will be buried in his rural home in Zvimba, Zimbabwe. However, his funeral service was held in Jamaica. Before we end it all, let's see the reggae icon's long walk to success. The Little Star from Jamaica. In the small town of Rocky Point, Clarendon Parish, Jamaica, flowed alongside the rhythm of the ocean. Each time the sun rose, the fishermen would cast their nets in twilight. The music carried through the air like the island's warm breeze, and the waves crashed against the shore. It was here, on September 13, 1959, that Colvin George Scott was born. Music has been a part of his soul since he was born. His voice had a natural warmth that stopped people in their tracks. He sang in his church and school choirs. Like many other boys in his town, he spent his days helping his family and working the sea lines. Did he ever dream of becoming something more than just a boy who fished? Colvin was just 14 when he took his first real step towards that world. That year, he recorded a song called Searching in the Hills with Willie Francis as the producer. This was proof that his voice could be more than something heard in small gatherings, or so he thought. After the song was released, it went nowhere. There were no radio plays, no big breaks, just his music being played repeatedly on his boombox at home. This was a big disappointment for an upcoming artist. Over the next few years, Colvin tried alternate paths. He became a racehorse jockey who found the adrenaline rush exciting. Eventually, he became a fisherman, waking before dawn, casting lines, and paddling against the intense waves. But it was hard work, and something inside him just yearned to keep trying his way at music. After a long day of fishing, he usually found himself curled up in bed at night and writing lyrics as they flowed. Soon enough, Jamaica's sound system changed, and Colvin found himself performing with traveling DJs who brought sound to the people in makeshift dance halls. With this, Colvin's confidence took center stage as he got applauded occasionally. This time, he was going to chase his dreams more complex than ever, and nothing would stop him. He wouldn't just be known as Colvin George Scott. In 1983, Colvin decided to relocate to Kingston, Jamaica's vibrant hub of music and culture. However, Kingston was not the same as Rocky Point, where he had previously gained experience. The atmosphere was charged with talent, and the competition was intense here. Artists from all around sought to carve out their niche in a city known for its rich musical history and diversity. Colvin quickly realized that merely having talent was insufficient to stand out in this crowded landscape. He understood that he needed to discover an identity that would resonate with audiences and leave a lasting impression. It became clear that a rebranding was in order. He needed a name that embodied his artistry and spirit. That's when inspiration struck him, and he chose the name that would eventually become iconic within the reggae and dancehall scene: Cocoa Tea. This name carried a sense of warmth and sweetness, suggesting not just a flavor, but a deeper connection to the cultural roots of Jamaica. With this new identity, Colvin was ready to step onto the stage with renewed purpose and determination, eager to showcase his unique sound and message to a world waiting to hear from him. Why did he choose cocoa tea? The name came from a hot chocolate drink Jamaicans were fond of taking. It was rich, smooth, and warm, just like his voice. However, would one name change be enough to open any doors in Kingston's crowded music industry? Cocoa Tea had always remained true to his artistic vision, pouring his heart and soul into every note he sang. His dedication and passion for reggae set him apart from many of his contemporaries. It was a pivotal moment in his career when destiny intervened, leading him to connect with Henry Junjo Lawes, who was then one of the most influential figures in the reggae scene. Long Walk to Fame was in the midst of a successful run, crafting infectious dancehall tracks that quickly climbed the charts and shaped the sound of contemporary Jamaican music. When Cocoa Tea first stepped into the studio, the atmosphere buzzed with potential. Lawes was known for his keen ear and innate ability to recognize talent, and as he listened to Coco's unique voice for the first time, he felt a spark of excitement. There was something distinct in Coco's tone, a blend of smoothness and grit that resonated deeply. Unlike many artists of the time, Coco had a soulful quality that could evoke a range of emotions, from joy to melancholy, in a single verse. Lawes recognized that Cocoa Tea had the ability not just to produce hits, but to create music that connected on a more profound level. He envisioned how Coco's style could complement the innovative rhythms he was already crafting. With this realization, Lawes saw a partnership in the making that could elevate both of their careers and contribute to the evolution of reggae music. Thus, they began collaborating to change the reggae landscape, blending Cocoa Tea's distinctive sound with Lawes' masterful production. The harmony between the two artists marked the beginning of a significant chapter in their lives, one filled with creativity, exploration, and a shared passion for elevating Jamaican music to new heights. Hence, Lawes decided to coach Cocoa Tea. During that time, Coco remained under Lawes' guidance in recording a string of single hits that eventually defined the early years of his career. These included songs such as Rocking Dolly, I Lost My Sonia, Informer, and Can't Stop Cocoa Tea. This array of songs introduced him to reggae fans across Jamaica. During that time, the Jamaican market was also highly flooded with singles from different artists. But Cocoa Tea wasn't just a singles artist. He had a voice that could carry an entire album, and it would still sell. His debut album, Way Dem A Go Do, Can't Stop Cocoa Tea, was released in 1985 and compiled most of his previous successful songs. Later, a slightly different variation of his music, Rocking Dolly, was released in the US. Just when Cocoa Tea's career took off, Lewis moved to New York, leaving Cocoa Tea at a turning point. Would this drag him back, or would he manage to continue rising in another way? Well, it was at that point that another legendary producer came in, King Jammy. Cocoa Tea started to shift his focus, and Jammy was in control. His music still had the same infectious energy as dancehall, but his lyrics differed. Some of his lyrics were Rastafarian themes and conscious messages. These features later created two albums, The Marshal in 1986 and Come Again in 1987. These albums had hits such as Tune In and Settle Down. Cocoa Tea was no longer an artist trying to find his way in the industry. He was now a force to be contended with. The results are clear for all to see today. Even though Cocoa Tea's life on Earth has ended, his music hasn't. While the world will say their final goodbyes to the legend, his legacy will remain. The voice of Cocoa Tea will always be heard, whether through the smooth melodies of Rocking Dolly or the spiritual upliftment of Holy Mount Zion, and the socially conscious anthems he gave to the world. What made his music timeless, resonating with different generations and across borders? Share your opinion in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Before you go, explore the other videos on your screen.